Welcome back to the Always Reading Book Club. It is your girl Kiki Reader, and we are diving back into the Jilted Wives Club series by Bethany Lopez. Now, if you haven't listened to the first book in the series, that review is available down below in the description section. So once you finish that review, come and join us as we dive into book 2, which is called Trophy Wife. Summer has been going on dates. They haven't really worked out. One guy even wanted to see her feet on the first date. So yeah, all kind of stuff is going on. The upside of everything is that the Jilted Wives Clubs, they've been meeting every Thursday, and they meet more than that actually. And so that's always the highlight of her week. So she's on her way to meet with them, and she gets a cat called from the construction guys from across the street. She does a little polite wave, goes inside. She sees her girls. Margot's on the phone, and she starts talking to Whitney. She asks Whitney how everything was going, and Whitney says everything's going pretty good. Luca came to Silas's lacrosse tournament, and Luca was shouting like a soccer mom. So when Margot gets off the phone, she's like, "All right, what's going on? Catch me up." So Summer says, she's back on the dating app. There is a guy on there that she likes, but she hasn't pressed the like on his photo yet because she's a little afraid. So this guy's very bookish, looks like he's a professor. He loves books. Well, it says he's a professor, so we'll say he's a professor. Um, and his favorite game is Words with Friends. So they're kind of like, this is your type? And we find out that this is the kind of dude that she really likes. However, because she's blonde, big boobs, small waist, people automatically put her in the gold digger territory and just assume all she wants is a guy with a black Amex card. But this type of dude is who she really wants. But she's afraid this type of guy, he's too serious. He's not going to want her. And so they look at the picture and they're like, I mean, he is cute. So when she grabs the phone back, she accidentally hits no. And his photo goes away. So you can't look him up by name, even though you only have a first name. You can't look it up. And so she does know that the guy's name, or shall we say what he put on there, was his name was Noah. But unfortunately, she can't get him back. He's gone. We then switch to Noah's POV. And I'm like, yes, another two person. So Noah is a professor. He teaches literary dimensions on film. Now, most students think this is a really easy course. And what normally winds up happening is around mid semester, they come in trying to figure out how they can get their grade up. And that's the situation today with this woman who he just calls Miss Sinclair. She comes in, she's upset because she got a C on her paper about Little Women. And she did it on the 2019 film. And she was like, it was a good paper. Why would you give it a C? And he said the assignment was for you to look between the movie and the literary work. So you didn't read the book, and I can tell. If you had read the book, then you would have been able to look and see what the screenwriter left out from the book. And that would have made a great report. So she says, well, can she redo it? He says, you can. It's late, so the highest you can get is a B. But you can submit it. And so she's like, she puffed and huffed and puffed and she left. So he also has a good friend at the university who's also a professor there. I want to say he's bio something because he works in a lab. His name is Trent. And so Trent's married and lives vicariously through his single friend Noah. Now, Noah doesn't pay attention to students, but apparently the girls, the women, we'll say women because they call him sexy professor. Everyone they drool over him, but he just doesn't pay attention to it. You know, he doesn't see it. So Trent asks him, "Hey, you got time for a beer?" And he's like, "Yeah, we can do that." And so him and Noah go to get a beer. Now Trent also is married to, I think her name is Cam, and they have a child, a young one. I think that child's got to be under 1. It's just a few months old. So again, we can kind of see how he might live a little through his friend. We switch back to Summer. She's on her break and she's talking on the phone with her mom. Now, her mom has been apparently sick off and on. She doesn't want to go to a doctor. She's concerned about her. Her mom tells her, "Well, I walked to the park today, so that's good enough." Right? So she tells her mom she'll come and see her soon, probably this weekend. Her mom then tells her, no, I'm sorry. She also says Helen, who owns the boutique, which is where Summer works, she is also friends with Summer's mom. And she was like, Helen will probably come and see you as well. Okay? So then the mom blurts out, "Oh, I have some news. I heard that Jared is having another baby." This, of course, gets to her, right? Because she wanted children. And he had told her he already had kids from his first marriage and he didn't want to start over. So hearing this affects her and she hates that it does. When she gets off the phone with her mom, she kind of was like, damn it, like, when am I going to be able to take my power back? You know, when am I going to stop being affected when I hear things about him? But also, I don't like the mom. Because the way the mom said it to her, it was like snarky. So I don't think I'm going to like this mom. You know, I'm quick to dislike a parent if they suck. I just, and she's clearly that. Now, our girl Summer works in a boutique shop. She is the manager and she also is kind of a buyer for the boutique as well. So she has a couple of hats at that boutique. So she goes in and talks with Helen. Helen says, "Yeah, I'll probably go see her this weekend as well." She leaves out for the evening. So Summer still has an Audi. Like, I want to say the GT, the really expensive one. So part of her divorce decree was that Jared had to keep paying for it and she'll drive that thing until the wheels fall off. She lives in like this rundown apartment but has this expensive ass car. So every night when she every morning when she wakes up, she's always wondering if the vehicle's still going to be there. Thankfully, it has been. She doesn't feel like going home, and so she messages Margot because Whitney's probably tied up with wedding stuff. So she texts Margot if she wants to hang out, and Margot's like, "Yeah, let's meet at Sullivan's." So she goes to Sullivan. She's sitting down, and when she looks over, who does she see? Noah. But she actually says his name out loud. And she says it loud enough that both Noah and whoever he's with, they both turn and look at her. So Trent says to Noah, "You know who that is?" Trent's like, "You've been holding out on me." Noah goes, "I promise I have no idea who that is." So Summer's cheeks are now pink. Super flushed, right? She looks embarrassed. And Noah still telling Trent, because Trent doesn't believe him. He's like, "No, you've got to know her." And he's like, "I genuinely have no clue who she is. She's probably mistaken me for somebody else." Because to Noah, there is no possible way that a woman who looks like that is looking at him in any type of capacity. So then we find out that Trent, his wife Cam, they had a child not too long ago. She's obsessed with like all types of diets. And so ever since she's had the child, They have been trying every diet, and he's been kind of doing it with her in solidarity. Even though he believes she's perfect and feels she doesn't need to do anything, she feels she does. So he just, in solidarity, he does all these crazy diets with her. Well, they're sitting there talking, and then Margot comes up to goes over to Summer. Trent's like, I don't remember the women looking this good when I was single, you know? Now, Trent is a happily married man. He adores his wife. He actually is much more happier than he was when he was single. Um, but he is like genuinely thrilled by the fact that I guess these are more attractive than what he's remembering in his single days. Well, Margot winds up coming up to their table. And Margot goes, Noah, right? And he says, yeah. And she called him Professor. And both of them were like, how the hell do you know what we do? So she explains about the dating app. We find out that Noah hadn't even been on the app in over a year. He thought he had deleted the thing, deactivated it. And she explains how Summer saw him. And she hit the no in error, right? So she tells him, give me your number. No, she said, I'm going to give you her number, put it in your phone, and call her when you're ready. So at first he's thinking she's joking, but clearly she's not. So he put his number, he took the number from Margot for Summer's contact information. And the way he was kind of hesitant made Margot kind of go like, what's wrong with her? And he's like, there's nothing wrong with her. She's so beautiful. He's like, there's just no way she could look at me. Like, it was genuine. And Margot was like, just call her, you know? And she walks away. Poor Summer, she hasn't heard from Noah. It's gotten her a little down. So she's in the grocery store and she's about to buy all different kinds of ice cream to wallow in. Okay? So we get a little backdrop. We know she was considered the trophy wife. She had heard women when she was with Jared. They basically didn't want to befriend her because they felt like she was too pretty and they didn't want, she's the kind of wife that our men would leave us for. And so they never wanted to get to know her. And so that's why when she met Margot and Whitney and they saw her for who she was and didn't treat her bad, it was like a godsend to her because she had been so used to getting treated horribly by women. So she's gotten plenty of ice cream. She's starting to go towards the checkout and she sees Noah. And she decides, you know what? She's going to go up to him. So she doesn't have on any makeup. She's got her hair up in a bun, sweats on. She thinks she looks a mess. So she goes up to him. He drops the frozen strawberries that he had. They both go down to pick them up at the same time. They bump heads. He, of course, shocked to see her. He does the whole, how are you? And she's like, I'm good, but I would be better if you would have called. And he goes, I didn't think you really wanted me to call. And she said, of course I did. Everything Margot said to you was true. And he goes, really? She's like, yeah. And so she told him, you can call or you can text. And he says, I'm not much of a texter. And he says to her, if you walk away, I'm probably going to lose the nerve to call you, so I'm going to ask you right now. He says, would you like to go dancing on Friday? And she was like, yes. And then she realized like she didn't have on makeup or something. She started to, feel a little self-conscious. And he told her, you are beautiful no matter what you have on. And that, of course, made her feel good. And she's like, well, I'll see you Friday. So he asked to pick her up, but she was like, no, I'll meet you there. Because, again, she doesn't know this man from Adam. Okay. So she's going to meet him. And she goes to the register and she has a little pep in her step as she's walking away. And he is in the same spot, kind of just frozen, holding the frozen strawberries. We switch back to Noah. He is at his brother's, Charles's place. Now, Charles, his brother, also has a newborn. And Noah's doing his little coochie coochie coo talking to the baby. And Charles like, don't do that. Because if she sees that, she's going to be pissed. She apparently read somewhere, but you're supposed to talk to kids like a normal person. It's supposed to help with their cognitive skills. And so Noah goes, well, since he thinks Jasmine's the smartest person, his sister-in-law, he's like, I'll switch it up. So he talks to his brother about the situation with Summer, and we find out he is really good at dancing, but he's good at line dancing. And so the brother's like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Because she's probably going to think you're taking her to a club. And he goes, you think so? And he's like, yeah. So they're going back and forth. And in his head, he's thinking like, I think this is a good idea. Like, I hope it'll work. So it's Thursday. Summer's meeting up with her girls for their Thursday night Jilted Wives Club get together. And Summer's always late, pretty much. Wit looks like she's about to burst and she throws her left hand out. She's getting married. Everyone's excited for her. She tells them how it happened. They were with the family and he had asked Silas and Stella if he could become a permanent fixture in their lives. And so it was a huge thing, was super perfect. And she wanted a smaller wedding, but she knows that's not going to happen because this is the first time that he's getting married and she doesn't want to deny him anything, you know? And so the girls are excited because she's going to have a big wedding and she asks them to be her bridesmaids. So really sweet. So she tells them about our girl Summer tells them about what happened with Noah at the supermarket. They love the story. They're just so happy for her. And she's a little afraid of how to dress because she doesn't want to dress too promiscuous and scare him off. You know, she does want to dress sexy for the club. So I'm like, okay, she does think they're going to be going to a club. So she's thinking she'll go with just a short dress and she's just going to see what happens. But she's ready for this date. Noah's waiting at the bar. He got there like half an hour before the time he had told her. His stomach has been in knots for days. And now he's waited until it's like 20 minutes past when she was supposed to arrive. And he starts thinking, oh God, I should have known this was some type of prank. Well, anyway, she shows up in her Audi. And she's got on this short dress, but she looks amazing. And she was like, I'm so sorry, I'm always late. I try not to be late, but I'm always late. And he goes, it's no problem. And he told her about doing the line dancing. But if she didn't know how to do it, he'd teach her. And if she didn't like it, they could call it quits and go somewhere else. And she was like, okay. But she was down to learn. And she was really happy to try. So they went and got up on the stools and to get some drinks. And her skirt, of course, dress went up a little higher. And he was like, oh my gosh, this woman, she's just too beautiful, He didn't want to stare at her legs, but it was too hard. So as they're talking, it doesn't appear as if, you have people, physically they may be beautiful, but their insides might be shit. She doesn't give that. She really gives off like her person, who she is beautiful as well, And he's getting different sides of her personality and he really likes it. And he's just keeps thinking, what else can I learn about her? So it's going pretty good. So they have a great time. Summer loves it. She had never had so much fun on a date. It was like her best date ever. They had their drinks, they danced. She got some nasty looks from some women, but she didn't care. She was enjoying her time. They went and got a little table in the back and ate some fries. Well, she ate fries. He ate a burger and fry. And she was just kind of putting it out there. he had asked a question about why she had thick skin, because she had said that in regards to like the women giving her nasty looks and stuff. And she said, well, when I was younger, she was like, I had a sister, and I want to say she was a younger sister, but she died. And when she did, my dad left, and, or maybe she was older. I can't remember, but it was a sibling to her sister, and her sister died. So the dad left because he couldn't handle it, and her mother became really depressed, and she found herself helping her mom, like being a mom more to her mom than her mom was to her, you know? That's where Helen came into play. Helen was super great. She became like her mom. She would take her to school. She would take her to get school clothing. Like, she was a godsend. And so, from dealing with that, she developed a thick skin. She then went on to tell him about Jared. She told him she just wanted him to, she liked him, and she didn't want to keep anything from him. She wanted him to kind of know this is what you're dealing with, you know? And so she told him about Jared, and he had no judgment. He told her everybody has baggage, everybody's going through something, and all of those things make you the woman who you are today. So after it was about 1 in the morning, they decide to leave. They go outside, and he didn't kiss her. So what she did was, she wanted to kiss her. She grabbed his arm, reached up for him, and they kissed. He wound up picking her up, kissing her hard against the car, and then they had to like calm down and say goodnight to each other. And she watched as he walked away, and he kind of did a zigzag because that kiss did a number on his ass as well. And that night she went to sleep with a smile on her face. Noah's at his parents' house, and his dad has like a book club. He's been in it for like years. And so his mom is helping make little, things to eat and stuff for that. And sometimes he'll join in on the conversation, because most of the books they've read, that they're reading, he's already read those. So sometimes he'll come in and give his little 2 cents about it. And then his mom, had asked him how his week was. He told her. And then his mom was kind of like, what are you not telling me? So he winds up telling his mom about Summer, and immediately he starts smiling while he's talking about her. His mom was like, I haven't seen you do that, hell, ever. And he said, she's super beautiful, and he's like, she drives a car that costs more than what I make, and I just don't know if I'm good enough. Like, he has all these doubts because of that. And the mom says, when I met your dad, he was a professor, I was an artist. I make more than him. Opposites attract. And he was saying how, they do know that they both, had admitted they wanted to get married and have children. And she said, that's a good enough. That's a good start. But don't put her in a box based on what she looks like. Don't do that to her. Give her the opportunity to show you who she really is. And I was like, that's great advice. Because the very thing that kept him from reaching out to her in the beginning, it was about to hinder him from continuing, you know? Summer quickly found out he was not a big texter. But if she called him, he would always answer. They would always have good conversation. They were really busy that following week, but they agreed to get together for lunch, and they decided they were going to do it at his place. Well, I'm sorry, let me say it correctly. They were going to have lunch closer to his place of where he works, which was near the university. So she's like, okay, she comes over, and she actually got there early. And so she was sitting there, and she's sketching some wedding dress ideas for Whitney. And apparently this is a talent she does not share with anyone. It's very personal to her. And Noah comes up. He's super worried that he made her wait. She's telling him, listen, it is absolutely fine. You're good. You're good. So eventually he brings up the notebook and she says what it is, and she admits that it's not something she shares. It's just so personal for her, you know? And then it's like once you show someone this personal thing and they give their opinion, it's just too much, you know? And he told her he understood. It was the same way he felt about the articles that he writes, and he's trying to get tenure as a professor, and he's written articles that were too personal, and he doesn't want the judgment, but you just kind of have to push through. So then Miss Sinclair, the student from earlier, she walks up and she's giving Summer looks, right? And Summer's watching because Summer's trying to see what reaction is going on between the two of them. This girl has on her little short skirt, and she could tell that clearly this girl was into Noah, but Noah did not appear to be into her. He treated her like she was just like this annoying flea. He told her his office hours are from this time to this time. That's when she can come and talk about her work. You know? And she goes, "Oh, well, I guess I'll see you then." And she left. But it took her a minute to walk off because, again, he just was not paying attention to her. So then the girl, glared at Summer, and she eventually leaves. Summer didn't care. Summer was on cloud nine. She was actually she let him see her sketchbook, and we find out that some of the designs she's made some of those clothes. Like, she doesn't just draw, she can actually create these clothing. And she hasn't even told Helen. And Helen owns a boutique, but she hasn't even told Helen because she's terrified for someone to see him. So I hope she gets the courage, because it sounds like she's got a gift, but she's afraid to share it. Noah got a phone call from his parents. It either was that day or later that evening. And his parents were like, they're taking the baby Susie to the hospital because apparently her fever spiked, and they weren't able to get it down. So Charles, his brother, they've taken the baby to the hospital. Charles is saying the baby's going to be okay, but they don't trust it. So he jumps up and he gets there. So Charles comes out. He's like, she'll be all right. You guys can leave. But they're like, they're not leaving until they see that baby and they know. So Charles goes back, and Noah gets a text message from Summer while he's getting some stuff out the vending machine. And he just called her back. And she could tell something was wrong. And she's just like, "What's going on?" And he told her what was going on. And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And she, asked what hospital he was in. He told her. And then she said, "If you need anything, you let me know. I'm here and I'll be praying for the baby." And so then after the phone call, he did feel a lot lighter. He was happy to have told her. And then like maybe an hour or so passed, and Summer comes with a huge box. She brought burgers and fries for everyone. He was so happy to see her, and she's like, "I hope it's okay that I came. I just want to try and help." And so she met the parents. The mom, of course, gave Noah a wink, like, "Okay, you did good." And then afterwards, um, the mom, they met and stuff, and the mom was like, "It was really nice to meet you. Thank you so much." And then the mom whispers to Noah, "She's very lovely, you know?" And it wasn't just about her beauty, it was about this kind gesture that she did for these people she didn't even know. But it was like, they're going through something, and I want to try and help them some type of way, you know? And I like Summer. Summer just seems like a really sweet person. She just really does. It is now Thursday, and Whitney and Margot, they're all there, and we find out that Whitney was the one that had given her the push to go to the hospital because she wasn't sure. And so when she called Whitney, Whitney was like, go, you know? So Margot started saying, well, she wanted to know, like, how was the sex? And she was like, I don't know. We haven't done that yet. And Margot's like, oh no, you got to figure that out now. Margot was like, she had liked this one guy. He was really nice. They got along. He was even a great kisser because Summer was like, he was a great kisser. I know he'll be great. And Margot's like, nah, you don't know. She's like, this guy was probably the best kisser I'd ever had. Trash in bed. She's like, you got to find out. So then Summer asked Margot, hey, I need you to do me a favor. And she's like, there is that same dating app. They're having another one of those like mixer speed dating things. And she doesn't feel right going. Like, even though her and Noah have not put a label on it, she isn't dating anyone else. She doesn't want to. So she wouldn't feel right going to this event. So she had to beg and plead for Margot to go. Margot put up a fight at first, but eventually she agreed. But she said, but you're going to owe me and I'm going to collect. So then they talk about the wedding, and Luca's mom, Francesca, listen, she's been getting a lot of stuff done, you know? But the one thing that Whitney hasn't been able to do is find a wedding dress. And so our girl Summer has worked up the courage and she pulls out the notebook. And so Whitney kind of looks and she can tell, like, clearly this is important to Summer, you know? And she gives her the notebook and she was like, you've got a hidden talent you didn't tell us about. And she tells them about how she's made some of the clothes she's drawn and told them about which dress it was, this gray cutout dress. They were like, oh my God, that thing looked amazing. So Whitney, of course, knew this had such importance to her. And even the way she flipped through it was like with such reverence, you know? And she gets to the last page and she goes, this is the one. This is absolutely amazing. They tell her how talented she is. They tell her, you never hide this. And they tell her how proud she should be. Her eyes welled up because it was so nice to hear praise from them. It was so sweet, the positivity. And that's what I like about them is they give each other that positive thing, but it's not overly, because you know there is some over positivity type stuff that you can do, but they're not like that. It's like a good balance, you know. You have super positive Summer, you've got realistic Margot, who's gonna come with the, you know, she's the devil's advocate, and then Whitney is like a mixture of the both of them, you know. So it's a nice, they have a balanced friendship between the three of them, is what I would like to say. Because in that friendship, you don't have to worry about never hearing the full truth. Like if it was just Whitney and Summer, we wouldn't hear the full truth. Because Whitney wouldn't want to be too mean, and Summer's not going to be mean at all. But you need that Margot in there so we can keep that element of truth, as well as to pull out some truth from these other ones too, you know, because once someone else says something, that kind of gives you the permission to kind of elaborate on some things. And that's kind of what Margot does. So they have a really balanced friendship group. Everyone should have it. We switch back to Noah, and our girl Summer is coming over to his place, so he's straightening it up. It's not necessarily a slob, but he has a maid that comes over, does like a deep clean once a week. And because he spends most of his time working, so he's got bookcases in damn near every room. Some of the bookcases are overflowing with books. So he's straightened up a little. Doorbell rings, he goes, and they're gonna do takeout in a movie. And she had made the comment to him that she had wanted to do like a relaxed night, just kind of some take, you know, to stay in and watch a movie and get some takeout. And he quickly was like, okay, we can do it at my place. So He always is stunned when he sees her. He takes her on a tour of the place before they eat, and she told him how nice it was. He had his own place, and she needs to get her own, buy herself a little house. Um, he's been in this house, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years, because his father had told him never rent, always buy. So he came out the gate with this. So they're getting ready to eat some food, and she goes, well, where are we going to watch a movie? Because after everywhere she's seen, she didn't see any actual, television sets. And so he says, don't worry, I got it covered. He hits a button in the console and brings up the TV. And she's like, oh, I was wondering how we were going to do that. So he gives her three options for a movie: Pride and Prejudice, Inception, and A Quiet Place. She's seen all three. The Quiet Place gave her nightmares. She's not picking that one. She thought it was some type of test about trying to do the real deep one, the Inception one. But then she decided to go with what she liked, which was Pride and Prejudice. And so she says, is that the right answer? He's like, there's no right answer. It was just about what you wanted. She's like, okay. So they're eating, but they're both eating slow. And they're both starving because neither one of them had eaten that day. So they finally admit to each other what they're doing. So after that, they start to eat normal. They watched a movie, and then afterwards she thanked him for telling him about how he felt when publishing different writings, and how it gave her the courage to show Whitney and Margot her sketches, and that she also showed Helen, and Helen got on her for keeping this gift hidden away, you know, and but it was a positive experience. She then asked him, if we're still dating, the wedding's going to be in like 6 weeks. Would you mind being my date? And she's like, I hope I'm not being too presumptuous. And the whole time he had been holding her hand, and he said he just kissed her hand and said, I would love to go with you. So our boy figured he was just going to go ahead and be forward and ask her something as well. And so he said, I want you to stay the night with me. And he told her, he hadn't been with anyone in a long time. He never did casual hookups and stuff like that. It's just not who he was. And he kind of gave a background of how he was always concerned about his grades. Even though his father was a professor, they never put pressure on him like that. He just put the pressure on himself. So in high school, he was always worried about trying to get the best grades to get into college. In college, he was trying to get the best grades. And then when he started working, he wanted to be the best. It's just doesn't leave a lot of time for anything else. So he says, I know that might not seem like good qualities for someone, but to her, she said, that sounds great to me. It sounds like you know what you want and you go after it. I like that. She, of course, was like, she would like to stay, and she admitted she's only ever been with 2 other men in her whole life. So Jared was the second person that she'd ever been with, her husband. So again, she just don't be throwing coochie around. So they wound up having some drinks, and then he asked if she wanted to go into the sitting room, which is in his bedroom, and she winds up walking before him, leading him there. And I'm like, oh, we about to get it on and popping. Sure enough, they get it in. He put on some music, and she padded for him to come and sit next to him. She undressed. She had on this really expensive lingerie, which she was glad she had worn. And she was about to take it off, but he was like, let me. So he started sucking on titties, and then he got a little demanding, which she loved. And we find out with Jared, she didn't say this, but this was just her thoughts. Jared had told her that she wasn't aggressive enough, And the more she does flashbacks of Jared, I'm like, he must have been extremely charming in the beginning. Because he sounds like he was a bitch most of the relationship. Oh my gosh. So anyway, so Noah fingers her. And he tells her, ride my fingers. And that's what she does. And she comes. And so after that, she told him, I need you inside of me. And he was just like, I've never been more ready in my life. So we fast forward, and our boy Noah he's tenured. He just found out. He's super excited. He goes back to his office. Trent is there, and he saw him do the whole Fred Astaire thing coming up the stairs. So Trent knew he got it as well. Really happy for his friend. Trent is supposed to be up for it next year, so they're hoping he'll get it too. Um, he called his parents. He called Summer. She was so happy she squealed. He had to pull the phone away from his ear. And she's like, you gotta come over this week for dinner, and celebrate. Him and Trent went out for drinks after work. And what happened? During class, he had another incident with the Sinclair chick. She was trying to get him to reread something from the beginning of the class, because she was like, I like the way you read. And he said, well, you should have said it in the beginning, because we've already passed that portion. And another student saw what she was doing and was like, you really need to stop, you're pathetic. So they that killed that crap, and the chick Sinclair, she stopped bothering him. But I like that he puts boundaries up, you know, even though this chick is still trying to overstep. But he's just like, nah, we not doing them. We're not playing them games. Trent wants to know if he's going to invite Summer to the faculty party coming up. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And, because Trent had said, are you going to invite your girlfriend, Summer? And he didn't do the whole, that's not my girlfriend. He didn't do that. Like, it was like, yeah, I'll invite her. So Trent's happy, and he texts his wife Cam right away, because they want to meet Summer, and see who has gotten their friend's attention. So it's time for the girls to hang out, and Whitney, with the preparations for the wedding, she hasn't had a shower yet, but she wanted to not do it, because again, she was kind of like, I don't have to have that. But the mother-in-law was like, nope, we doing it all. So Margot is like playing with her food on her plate, which is not like Margot. So it's like, what the hell, what's going on? So we get a confession. Margot slept with her ex-husband Carson. Now, here's the story. So Margaret and Carson, they worked together. They used to work together like really well. They were the same level. And people started calling her his work wife, which pissed her off, because it's kind of like it made him up here and her down here. But anyway, they eventually started fucking, because they worked so much they really didn't have an opportunity to meet people outside. So it was like nice and convenient. Well, they went to Vegas, got drunk, and wound up getting married. She wanted to have the marriage annulled when they got back, but he was like, no, let's give it a real shot. Well, she did, but when she got promoted to above him, he couldn't take it, and so he started cheating on her, and so she divorced him. Now, they still got along, she still even fucks him from time to time. But recently, she fucked him, and while he was putting his pants back on, he told her that he was getting married. Now, he knows she has a no cheating rule. Like, she doesn't play those type of games. And the little respect that she had for him, like, it's just fucking gone. But it pissed her off that he put her in that position, And so she didn't want to keep talking about it, because, she don't like no pity party, She winds up asking Summer, have you slept with old boy yet? And Summer tells them about what happened. And Margot's like, thank goodness, because I was getting blue balls waiting for y'all to hook up. Good grief. So then before they left, Margot got the waiter's number, because, girl is probably like, she got to get back on the horse with a new one. Noah goes over to Summer's place. He's shocked because, again, it's not in the best part of town. But she had told him that, right? He brought a lemon cake, and when Summer opened the door, it inside was her. It was nice and bright. And that part made sense because she's Summer. She's cooking meatloaf and some other stuff, which her mom had taught her how to do when she was younger. But over the years, she's perfected this recipe. And we find out she still makes it for her mom every now and then. So he made the comment, oh, you and your mom, you still see your mom. And she said, not as much as I probably should. But when I leave from around her, I feel bad about myself, so I don't really like to go. And for him, he was just like, I'm so sorry. You know, he wishes, she could have grown up with a great family like the one he did, because she shouldn't have to deal with all that crap from a parent. So he invites her to the faculty party. He tells her Trent, his wife, Cam, they're going to be there, his parents, and she's super excited. And she, of course, was like, I'd love to go. And he was like, normally they're kind of boring. I'm going to tell you up front. And she said, it won't be with me there. So Summer goes over to her mom's to take the leftover meatloaf, and her mom is a piece of shit. I figured it as much. That's just the best way I can describe the woman. The woman's place is a mess. There's crap everywhere. Her mom's a smoker, so there's, buds everywhere. And her mom's in the back room watching her soap operas, General Hospital. She starts cleaning up because that's what she does. This is the routine. Once she finishes, her mom starts in on her, says, you're leaving so soon, you just throw me your leftovers, and then you want to just leave? You don't even have enough time to sit and talk with me? And she's like, Mom, you're watching your story, so I didn't want to disrupt you. And she goes, you don't care about disrupting me. You thought you were somebody. You thought you had magical coochie, and that older man threw you away. And now he's having a baby with someone else. The baby you wanted. So she's just a nasty, disgusting bitch. There's no other way around it. And honestly, I wouldn't go around it. I would stay to myself. I couldn't deal with a parent like that. She can tell her mom's been drinking, and it's just constant abuse from this woman. She even talks bad about Helen, saying Helen, tries to live on her high horse and she left me here in this shithole. And it's like, bitch, it sounds like you want to be in this fucking shithole. You know? Like, I feel bad for Summer. Thankfully, this is an in spite of thing with Summer. She has a piece of shit of a parent, but she still has a beautiful heart in spite of it. He goes to pick up Summer for the banquet. It's super formal. He has to wear a tie, which he hates. But he sees her, she stuns. And he says, Holy Toledo. And when they got in the car, he tells her, she's like, what does that mean? And he told her, like, the historical things of where that came from. And he says, there's another option for it, but I'm not going to tell that story. You'll have to ask Trent. So he starts to freak out a little bit because he feels like he's falling in love. But for him, it's like he can't be that fast. He's never felt this quickly for someone. Like, this is weird. And because of that, he starts acting weird. So when they get to the event, Trent walks up and he's like, I need water. He's just being really weird. So Trent took him to go get a drink, and he had to make the introductions first, and then he took him. And it was just like, Trent was like, what's wrong with you? And he told Trent, I think I'm falling in love with her. And he's like, but it feels like that can't be right? And Trent's like, do this. Take some time. Make sure it's what you feel. And then once you know it's true, shout it from the rooftops. He's like, okay, you're right. So then he goes back to the table, kisses Summer on the cheek, and he feels a little relaxed. And then Summer asks Trent, what does Holy Toledo mean or something like that. We move on to the bridal shower, which instead of presents, bringing presents, what they've done is Whitney and Luca are going to go to Fiji for their honeymoon. So any gift will be towards that. So it could be the lingerie, it could be money, it could be anything. But it will just, everything is just goes towards the honeymoon. So she was telling the girls how he was it I think it was just Margot. How Yeah, it was Margot. How he was acting kind of strange. She didn't know where that came from. And Margot's like, it's probably just nerves. You know, he had to give a speech. Maybe it was just that. I'm sure it's nothing. Whitney comes in. Everyone's happy to see her. And then Helen brings the dress. So Whitney's going to try on the dress for everyone here. Summer has seen the dress a couple times, but she hasn't seen the completed product. So she gets to see it with everyone else as well. So Whitney goes, changes, comes out. Everyone shocked in silence because the dress is stunning. And Whitney says this would not have been possible without the designer Summer. And everyone cheered Summer. And it was just a moment she will never forget. Helen also had told her, we're going to start doing making some of these sketches, for the shop. So she's really excited. I'm super happy for her. We fast forward a few weeks and Noah has come to the conclusion he's in love with her and he wants to tell her. And he wants to do it in a special way. So he goes by the boutique and he speaks with Helen, and he wants to set something up on the side. Next to the boutique, there's this little garden. And so he wants to set up a little picnic out there for Summer. And so he gets it set up, and then eventually Summer comes out, and he launches into this little spiel about how happy she makes him, and how he replays their conversations in his head, and it brings a smile to his face. He dreams of her, like just beautiful stuff, right? And he knows it hasn't been a long time, but he tells her he's in love with her, and he says, I hope it's not too fast. And our girl Summer says she's been falling for him ever since she saw his picture on the app with his glasses and tweed jacket. And he's like, you like my glasses? And she's like, yes, I love your glasses. So that gave him an idea to do something on a later date. And then they ate, and it was like one of the best days for him and probably for her too. On a different date, they did the bachelorette party. They did pole dancing, which was Summer's idea. And she's like, she's going to have to use some of these moves on Noah later. Then they went to a winery. Champagne, did the, champagne testing and stuff like that. Wine testing. And tasting. Why am I saying testing? Tasting. And it was really nice. And it was, okay, Whitney, Margot, Summer, Charlotte, who's Luca's sister, Sarah, who is Luca's sister-in-law, and a couple of women from Whitney's job. So while they're in the limo going to the vineyard, Charlotte was looking down, and so Summer went over there to her. We get some tea. Well, she found out all those times Nigel's been going out of town, he's cheating. He also never really bonded with the baby. And we find out that when she told him she was pregnant, he wasn't too happy about it. And she was hoping he would change, but he never did. So she's getting a divorce. So Summer, of course, told her how sorry she was for her, and she deserved better. Margot, too. And Summer invited her to join the Jilted Wives Club. And Margot's like, yeah, you'd be a great fit. And she's like, she'll have to think about it. And she's like, yeah, have your mom watch the grandbaby. You know they always want extra time with the grandbabies. And you'll have your me time with us. And Charlotte goes, well, what about Whitney? Because she's getting married. She won't be a part of the club anymore. And they go, oh, no, 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 no. Once you're a part of the Jilted Wives Club, it's for life. Whitney is not leaving. Because they've really solidified a bond, a true friendship. You know what I mean? It's not just about the fact that they're divorcees, you know? Their friendship is so much deeper than that. And so Whitney came over. She thanked the girls for the day. She was like, this was the absolute best. She was so happy. And what happened? They were just saying how happy they were for each other. And it was beautiful. Just a beautiful moment. We switch back to Noah, and there's a banging on the door, and it's Summer, and she's going from side to side. And he opens the door, and she's like, she hugs him real quick. She's like, I got a tinkle. So she runs to the restroom. The girls are yelling, ooh, he is cute. Get some. All this stuff. So they leave, and he asks her, did you have a good time? She's like, I did. And then she's like, I got to show you something. I learned some stuff. So she turns on some music, and she starts doing her pole dancing. She used him as the pole. He's super turned on. He wound up picking her up and taking her to the back room, ripped her panties off. He's like, I'll buy you more. Summer wakes up the next morning. She didn't have a hangover. She gave him a blowjob. He enjoyed it and went back to sleep. She went, cooked breakfast, brought it to him. He asked her how, her night had been the previous day. She told him how great it was, how great of a time they had. He was saying he wanted to meet the girls. He knows how important they are to her. And he was saying how, as far as like club wise, his dad had been in that book club for over 30 years. He used to be a part of a swim club, but him and Trent had to, basically let it go. They got too busy, kids, things like that. So, and he's like, but I'm not saying that you all won't, that you guys will stop hanging out. You guys have a real friendship, And she eased a little bit because she started to freak out. Um, so then they decided she, listed all these different things they could do because they were off. And he said, I just want to stay in bed all day. And she goes, that works for me. Noah was able to meet the women, but Luca was there this time. So he didn't have to meet them by himself. And Luca was saying how with the wedding, he don't really have to do nothing because his mom's handling everything. He just got to show up. And they were talking about, Margot had asked a question to Noah, like, if you were to get married, like, would you want a big wedding, this type of stuff? And Summer had said how she would want a big wedding. She had like a vision board of what she wanted for her day. And she wanted a big wedding with Jared, but Jared had told her again he'd already done the big wedding with the first wife, so he took her to Vegas. And so she's asking Noah, Margot, what type of groom would you be? So he says, honestly, I haven't really thought about it. No one's ever asked me. He said, but I would want some input, but I would defer to my bride-to-be to make sure she got the wedding of her dreams. So Margot's looking like, okay, good answer. They talked about the accounting firm that Lucas family owns, and Summer makes a comment to Noah saying, I bet you were one of those kids who couldn't wait to do your homework. And he was like, yeah, I kind of was. So she gives him a peck on the cheek. And then it winds up being a full kiss. And everyone had to break him up like, hey, chill out, which was cute. We get to the wedding day. It was small, intimate, just the close family and friends did the ceremony. And then the reception had more people. Super beautiful. She used an endearment to him. She said something about, thanks, honey. And he didn't freak out. When she was married to Jared, she called Jared babe one time, and he told her, don't you ever call me that. You call me by my given name. So again, when was he so awesome? Because he seemed like a bitch from the get-go. They have a great dance. Luca and Whitney look beautiful, so happy. It was a wonderful affair. So we fast forward a few weeks. Our girl Summer, she got sick. So no one wants to bring over some soup and crackers and some stuff for her to eat. And we find out that Noah's mom had actually checked on Summer as well, which really warmed his heart because it meant like they clearly were accepting her into the family, which is what he has been thinking about making a permanent addition, for her to be in the family. So this is great. He goes to her place because they've swapped keys, so he's got a key to her place. And when he opens the door, he's met with this resistance. So he's calling Summer's name, and then someone opens the door, and he says like this is Noah, I'm Summer's boyfriend, blah blah blah, and it's her fucking mama. She's like, my daughter doesn't need some man. She's sick with the flu. She needs her mother. And she's like smoking and shit. And he was like, I don't think you need to be smoking in here if she's sick. And she tells him, you need to leave. You're going to leave her anyway. Just nasty. She threatened to call the cops. He wanted to run past her to go check on Summer, but he didn't want to cause any more problems. So he just like left. And when he got in the car, he tried to call her, but it just kept going to voicemail. But he did leave on there, how much he loved her, X, Y, X, Y, and Z. Poor Summer, she's with her girls a few days later, and she's like, I think I messed up. And the girls are like, what did you do? And she tells them that she had been feeling bad the last few weeks, and that Noah, he was so kind. He brought over some stuff for her, which she didn't even know about because she was asleep. And her mom told her that some guy named Noah came barging in, trying to throw his weight around, and she had to kick him out. And the girls were like, that doesn't sound like Noah at all. And Summer's like, I know it wasn't. But I'm so embarrassed because he met my mom, and honestly, I didn't want him to ever meet her. And so for her, it was like he's met this awful part of me, and she's embarrassed. So for 2 days, she didn't really respond that much to him, and she feels bad. And she's like, what if we have kids, and those are part of my genes, and what if my kids are like that? Like, they told her, okay, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. You gotta snap yourself out of this shit. You owe him an explanation, and you need to talk to him. And then she told him the other issue. She goes, I think I might be pregnant. She's late. And so they're like, you are going to go clean yourself up. You are going to get some pregnancy tests. And you are going to go to his house. And you all are going to find out together because he deserves that. Chop, chop. So she went and got ready because they had came over to her place. So they cleaned up her apartment because clearly the mama didn't do it because the mama ain't fucking shit. And she's so nervous, but she texted him, asked if she could come over. He, of course, was like, sure. But she felt like he might be being a little guarded because it's been 2 days now. And she only responded to him via text, saying that she was going to talk to him when she could. So we're going to see what the outcome is. I don't think he's going to be that pissed off, but we'll see. Noah is a ball of anxiousness. Like, he beats on a drum. Doesn't really know how to play, but beating on it calms him down. Summer lets herself in, and he was feeling nervous, but when he saw her, she looked so pale, he ran to her. He's like, tell me what you need. Just tell me. And she's like, if you have some water, that would be great. She apologized to him for what went down. He, of course, is like, I'm not in love with your mother, so I could care less how she is. He's like, no, I'm sorry. She tells him she treated me horribly and she was supposed to be there to help me. So I can only imagine what you had to deal with. And I'm just so sorry. I couldn't prepare you for it. And he told her, it's okay. He's like, I just want to take care of you. I just want to make sure you are okay. Then she tells him about being late and the possibility of being pregnant. And he told her he wanted her to stay the night. He had already told her that. And he said, what do you need from me? Like, right now. And she was like, basically, just hold my hand while we find out. And he's like, then that's what we'll do. Like, that was that. It wasn't like He didn't freak out. It's like at first he was kind of slow to what was going on, but then it was like he's gonna be here. That's that. So she bought 3 tests. So she winds up having to throw up first, but then she was able to take the test. They're both nervous. He had set the timer, and she tried to change the subject. That shit didn't work. All tests positive. So she's sitting there like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant, and he's like, we're going to have a family. And she was like, I'm going to have to move out from where I live. I don't want my kid growing up in that apartment. Like, I want them to have a yard, a dog. And he goes, you can move in here. You have a yard and you'll have a dog. You know, he was like really excited. We fast forward. Summer's getting an ultrasound. And after they leave, they get pictures. They go see his parents who have been wanting, for him to bring her over. The mom's excited to be a grandmother again. And this is nice. She wishes her actual birth mother wasn't a bitch, but it is what it is. At least they will have these wonderful grandparents, and that makes her happy. They have a girls' night out. Charlotte's joined in, so that's a nice little addition, and they have a really good dinner. Um, Noah is in his classroom with Trent. Trent has stopped by, and Noah's telling him how, like, okay, he's ready to propose. And Trent's telling him all this over, like, okay, what you got to go over the top, right? And the class overhears a conversation, and they're like throwing out these suggestions about what he has to do to make it special. And even the Sinclair chick, I think she realized ain't shit to do now. She was giving advice as well to try and make it special. And he was like, shit, this is going to be huge. So he winds up calling his sister-in-law, Jamila, and asking her about what he needs to do. And she goes, so you're ready? She's like, all right, I got a good idea for you. Because I think he thought it was just going to be, he was going to do something real simple. And then they came with all these different ideas. And it was like, oh my God, this is bigger than I thought. So Summer has a day out with the girls. She gets her mani-pedis. Margot had bought a new dress for her. It was a great day. And they were going to go to City Center, have dinner. And then all of a sudden, this flash mob breaks out. And our boy Noah comes out and he starts dancing. And she realizes what's about to happen. And so he comes over. He does the whole proposal thing, telling her how important she is, how wonderful, all these great things. And he got her like this cushion cut yellow diamond. She's in heaven. The other surprise is that they're going to have their engagement party at the restaurant. And he did invite her mother, but Helen's there with her. So apparently Helen can keep that bitch in check. And Summer's like, just as long as she doesn't cause any issues, like, she'll get an invite to the wedding. But she hasn't told her about the baby yet because, she just wants to have a beautiful day. She doesn't want anything to ruin it. And anything could set her mom off. And he just told her how she deserved to be swept off her feet. She deserved to have a perfect day. We fast forward, and she doesn't want to do a gender reveal. Summer just kind of wanted to do a private thing for her and Noah. So Whitney found out the sex of the baby, and she had a cake made. And her and Margot brought it over. And, she's officially moved in with Noah. And so Noah comes home and he's like, Daddy's home. And so, of course, the girls bother him about that. And then they leave so they can have their moment. And they get a knife and cut it, and it's blue. So they're having a boy. She looked kind of disappointed. But she said, no. She's like, I'm not. I just really thought it was going to be a girl. She's like, no, but I'm fine. I'm happy. Like, I love this child already. I'm good. And that's how it ends. So the next book in the series is called Work Wife, and we'll get into that next week. That's going to be more of Margot's story, which I am very much wanting to get into. But what did you all think? I liked it. I really, again, I love their friendship. And I love that our girl Summer kind of took charge and went up to him in the grocery store. Now I don't know if I would have those type of balls, just being honest. I don't know if I would, but I'd like to think I could. You know what I mean? I like that she did it. It was kind of like, okay, I want to know why this man hasn't called me, you know. And it was the whole thing that he was just intimidated by her. He just thought she was so beautiful. And he just couldn't fathom that she could see him in that way. So I thought it was cute. I liked it. Um, the mom was trash. She never redeemed herself. I am glad that she has Helen, because Summer again is just like this beautiful person, and inside and out. And I was glad that she still had these good. She has enough good people in her life that she doesn't succumb to the evilness. I really like that. But what did you guys think? Let me know. Drop down in the comment section and let me know. If you are in the market for a beautiful notebook or journal, I do have those available, and the links are going to be available down below in the description section. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. And as always, I truly do thank you all for your support, and thank you for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.